So let's start at the beginning. What actually is WASD? Well, WASD is a new gaming expo that kind of derives their name from, the WASD keys on a keyboard, which people use to move around games, which I think is a pretty cool name, to be honest. I actually saw like a press release from them asking for, content creators to submit their names for a press pass, for a content creator pass. I did so, and I think the next day they confirmed with me that I could go. With that being said, let's actually get into this event. As you can see here, I took some obligatory traveling on a train type video, and then when I got off the train I managed to get on the underground to where I needed to go, and then I had to walk above ground a little bit, and I'm going to be honest, I got very lost but I eventually got there. I am looking back now and I realise that I didn't actually get a lot of footage of me actually getting my press pass, actually going into the event, so I will get a bit more footage of that specifically tomorrow, just so you can see exactly how it looked. My very first port of call when I got into the event was to actually go to the press lounge, just so I could chill out a little bit, get my bearings, because I had literally been travelling for like 4+ hours by then, so I was pretty tired. Oh, and also here's a shot of me just sitting in the press area. It was pretty cool, quiet at that particular time, but it did get busier as the day went on. Okay, so on to the actual show floor now, and yeah, I decided to look at Shadow Warrior 3 straight away because it was one of the fairly big ones at the event. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It's, pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Doom with a kind of fast movement and, big baddies, all that kind of stuff. To be honest, there was other things to look at, so that's what I did. And right around the corner from Shadow Warrior 3 was something that I very much wanted to play, and that is Cult of the Lamb. Now, I really do like the idea of this game, the really cute animals, kind of contrasting with the quite dark themes. I always like games like this. It does really remind me of Binding of Isaac in that regard, the cutesy character, but the really horrific manifestations. The other thing that really reminds me of that particular game is the fact that it's like a kind of multi-screen roguelike experience. Yeah, this thing has really been on my radar for a long time, and I was really happy to play it, and it's definitely one of the standouts, for me at least, at this show. And also, oh my god, the really cute but terrifying mascot that was walking about. Oh, so good. Moving on to the Thunderful booth right now, and yeah, there was a couple of things here that I kind of played. The first one was Lego Brick Tales, because you know what, I really like Lego games. I know they can come off as repetitive and kind of childish, but just something that's kind of easy to get into. You don't really need to think a lot about it. And this kind of is a different spin. It's more of a puzzle-based thing where you're building things brick by brick. Yeah, it was quite interesting, although I kind of got a little bit bored because there was a lot of tutorial to go through. I also looked at Tinkertown, which is kind of, it reminds me of Minecraft. I'm just not a huge fan of this kind of stuff. It is meant to be better as a multiplayer experience, but unfortunately I was the only one playing it at the time, so I didn't get that experience. And maybe that's what I'm missing out on. I don't know. Next up we have the Tek Games booth. Now there was a fair few games in here that I did want to play, including I Am Fish, but it was quite a busy stall, to be honest. The only game that I really played was Lawn Mower Simulator. And I mean, it's a game about mowing lawns, like that's clearly a win right out of the gate. Now at this next booth, Fireshine Games, I did manage to get myself in some seats and actually play something. And first off was Core Keeper. Now the actual attendant did come up to me and say, "Do you want any help?" And I was like, "No, it's okay. I kind of do it organically and just see how I go." And I do kind of regret that because, to be honest, I got stuck almost immediately. I did not know what to do. I spent a good 5 minutes just wandering around and I just could not figure out what to do. I don't know if that's me being bad at playing games or something, I don't know, but I might try again later on to see if I can get a better experience. However, this next game, Silt, is one of the highlights again of this show for me. It is a very atmospheric underwater kind of puzzle-ish game. It very much reminds me of stuff like Limbo and Little Nightmares, and this thing is so good playing through it with headphones. My word, the music, the ambient sounds, absolutely fantastic. And just the art style in general, I just think is really, really strong. And yeah, I just really want to continue playing this. Plus, you know, you can see there, it's just a really cool helmet thing that people used to wear underwater. I don't know, it was just a really good game. I would highly recommend it. In the same area as Silt was Imp of the Sun. This is a really, really nice looking Peruvian inspired adventure. I didn't get that far into it because I didn't have a lot of time with it. I wanted to move on to something else. But this, I think, is definitely something you want to keep an eye out for because it just looks really, really nice. And I'm all for games that kind of, you know, go with an aesthetic that isn't really in the mainstream. I just think this is fantastic. I did also stop for lunch. I had burgers and fries from Cheeky Burger. It was slightly overpriced for what it was, although it was tasty and a fairly decent portion. After my food, I also came across some more mascots, including the chicken mask dude from Hotline Miami. Yeah, just a really random thing. After that, I moved on to Good Shepherd Entertainment, and there was only 1 or 2 games there that I was really interested in. First up was the Eternal Cylinder. Again, this is a game that I've had my eye on for a long, long time, and it was just really interesting to sit down and play it. It initially made me think of Spore. You know those levels where you've just kind of gained legs and you're kind of, you know, wandering, stumbling about an unknown landscape. Very much was in the vein of that, although slightly better, I will say. And you know what? When you are being chased down by the titular Eternal Cylinder, it gets a little bit stressful. So yeah, again, keep it on my radar. I also popped around the corner to play John Wick Hex because I really like the John Wick films, so I did want to see what the game was all about. Weirdly, the cutscenes, even though they weren't that animated, they were really slow and laggy, and I don't know what was going on there. It wasn't really a good first impression. And you know what? I didn't really like the gameplay, so a little bit of a disappointment on that respect. But you know what? The art style is pretty decent, I will give it that. On to the Team 17 booth now, and I am always really impressed with the stuff that this company pumps out, and it was really good to see games that they're making. Now this was a really busy booth. The big game they're pushing at the moment, Marauders, that was pretty much busy all the time. So I didn't manage to play a lot of stuff here, but I did manage to play Honey, I Joined a Cult. And to be honest, that is the one game that I really wanted to try. And you know what? I really did like this game. I'm definitely going to spend more time with it later on, just to really sink my teeth into it, because I really did not have time. But yeah, another one that is on my radar. And that is day 1 sorted. What a roller coaster. Now I've just got to edit down 1.5 hours worth of footage and prepare for day 2. So yeah, bit of a late night for me. See you tomorrow. And here we go with day 2. To begin with, I just kind of went on a little bit of a walk just to stretch my legs, wake up a little bit, and I found myself on the River Thames, and it was just a really nice way to start the day. Heading to the actual venue now, and I did forget to mention it was at Tobacco Dock, and I think this complex is a really interesting one. This is the actual entrance, or at least the entrance for this particular show. And yeah, like you can see here that it's actually closed at the moment. I was super duper early, which kind of played to my advantage because I happened to be first in line. And that then meant that for some reason they wanted to interview me on camera. If this thing does go live, I will link it in the description below for you to check out. Inside the actual venue again, today I'm going to be concentrating on two things: the indie room and also going to a lot of talks. Let's talk about the first game of the day then. This is Gibbon Beyond the Trees. Now, I did see this in a magazine a while back and it just really hooked me. It just has a really wonderful art style. It's also about gibbons, and I really like gibbons. They're really cool, they're really cute, and it does talk about kind of them in the wild and how they're treated, and you know, it's got a very environmental spin on it. And to be honest, now that I've played it, it really reminds me of the Spider-Man games, where there's that really satisfying swing and release. It just feels like a 2D version of that, to be honest, in terms of the gameplay. And yeah, I just really enjoy playing it. And yeah, it's going to be something that I want to finish at some point. As you can see from the back wall there, this game is part of the Curios collection. And so too is this next game, with a name that I think is pronounced Shim. Basically, it's a little puzzler where you're this creature that can only move in shadow. Some of these shadows are moving, like if someone's running about, their shadows like moving with them, and it's just you having to jump between them to try and get to a certain destination. The art style is really cool, and it's a nice little kind of gimmick that I think is executed really well. I didn't spend too much time with it, but it's definitely something that I'll keep my eye out in the future for. Next, I moved out of the Curios section to play Oaken. Now, this is like a turn-based strategy game where you have to basically not so much eliminate the enemies, but take over the tiles which they are on. And I didn't quite get it to begin with. My first turn with it, I just did not realize you had to kind of convert the tiles. And I was just trying to kill all the enemies, and they just kept spawning basically until I died. And my next go with it was slightly better. Even though I was having a lot of fun with the indie games, I did run off to the 2 Point Campus talk, because the people who were there, the two directors and one technical director, had a wealth of industry experience between them. In fact, two of them worked with Bullfrog way back in the day on Theme Hospital, which is where 2 Point Hospital kind of has its roots, as well as Lionhead Studios. They worked with Peter Molyneux. It was just really interesting to see and hear what they had to say. And even better, I managed to get a selfie with Gary Carr and Ben Heimers. Yeah, it was just really cool all around to actually see some industry legends, basically, and also meet them. So yeah, I do not regret going to that talk at all. Now that I had attended a talk about 2 Point Campus and also met some of the directors who were responsible, it was only right that I sat down and played the game. Of course, this game is basically headlining the event. It is the front cover of the show guide of the event. I'm always a fan of these types of games. It feels very polished. It looks very good. I don't really like the art style of it. I didn't like the art style of 2 Point Hospital, but I enjoyed the gameplay. And yeah, I mean, if they want to kind of continually spin off these 2 Point County based games, then sure, I'm very happy to continue playing stuff like that. Obviously, this is the first event where this is playable, and the game is actually delayed until I believe August. So I felt very lucky to actually be able to play this at all, to be honest. And yeah, definitely don't regret any of this time that I've had around 2 Point Campus. After having played 2 Point Campus, I actually jumped back into the talks area to hear people talking about nostalgia and what it means to actually either preserve these games or maybe remaster or remake these games. Now this next section is fun. I actually came across Tek Games. I didn't realize they were there. This is a company that basically concentrates on bringing new games to older platforms. So they've recently made a game called Flee for the Dreamcast, and I've got to say, I just think they're really cool. I like their kind of company mission. It's something that I'm really interested in. And they had a playable demo of their new game, Playhead, and it's basically like a puzzle platformer set within a YouTube-esque environment. So you have the screen where you jump around, you got the play bar beneath it that you can kind of scroll back and forth, and it moves things in the kind of video section. It's all really, really interesting. And because, you know, I do YouTube videos, I just think it's really cool. I love indie games that get really creative. And as you can see here, this is one of the guys just showing me how to play the game and just having a chat about it. And we actually got onto the subject of Fleet, and now I haven't bought it yet. And the guy was like, I do actually have some with me, but I don't have them now. Can you come back tomorrow and I'll sign it? So I'm like, yeah, that'd be amazing. So apparently, if, I don't know, the stars are aligned correctly, I'm going to have a signed copy of Flee. And finally, for day 2, I just want to talk about Ruth's Journey. This is a game by Nifty Llama Games, and essentially it's just this one dude who is apparently a student still, and he is making this on his own. And I've got to say, I really like it. It's a fairly chill game. You just go around, walking, taking photos of stuff. There's a bit of drama in it, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this guy was really passionate about what he's doing. It's kind of the first game that he's really putting his all into. Obviously, he's done, you know, student projects and stuff like that, but this is the first game that he has his kind of full creative control, his, you know, his mark on it. Yeah, it's really cool. It is a little bit blocky, but I kind of like that kind of art style. And it is a bit glitchy. I did get kind of caught on terrain a bit, but you know what? For a one-man effort, I'm not going to mark him down on it. It's just generally really cool. I wish him all the best because, yeah, man, it's a pretty sweet game. And that is day 2 in the bag. I'm back in my hotel room and I'm feeling pretty tired. Didn't actually get as much footage as I wanted today because I was either attending talks or just talking to devs and meeting people and just generally doing a bit of schmoozing, which is something I'm not that good at because I'm quite an introverted person, but I try my best. And honestly, the last 2 years has been quite isolating. And even though I am introverted, it is nice to actually go to events and just see and hear people being so passionate about what they are doing. So yeah, it was a good day. I didn't get as much footage as I wanted, but I think I shared some fairly decent games with you. And yeah, I'm pretty tired, as I said, so I'm going to do a little bit of editing and then just go to bed because we have day 3 to go to. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow. And here we are on the 3rd and final day. I didn't actually stay all day, unfortunately, because I had to go back home, but I got there as early as possible to basically just wrap up everything that I wanted to do. And yeah, I started off by playing Swordship. Now this is a really cool game. It's described as a shoot 'em up without the shooting. You basically just got to avoid all the enemies whilst delivering packages. Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun time. If you die, you can jump straight back into it, and it's just got a nice kind of flow as well to it. Next up is The Last Hero of Nostalgia. Yeah, I think I pronounced that right. This is essentially a Dark Souls inspired game. I'm not a huge fan of those type of games, so as you can probably see from the footage here, I didn't do very well, and I just don't have the patience for these type of games. But you know, the actual kind of scenario where you are basically a stick figure is a really interesting concept. Now after I played that game for a while, I decided to go to the 2K area. Now there are only 3 games in here: Tiny Tina's Wonderland, WWE 2K22 and NBA 2K22. I'm not a huge fan of any of these kind of franchises, but I wanted to try Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and also I thought it was really cool that the WWE marketing was focused around Rey Mysterio, because I really liked him as a wrestler in my younger days. I just think it's really cool to see him immortalized, I guess. I also got a ton of merch from here, and I'll show all that at the end of this video. I also decided to go to the Wired Productions area because this area was really busy like the entire time, and I was lucky enough to sit down with Martha is Dead, which, you know, there's been a lot of controversy around that lately, and I just wanted to see what it was all about. I only played, you know, maybe 15 minutes of it, and, you know, it was an interesting game. I did feel a little bit on edge all the time I was playing it because I didn't know if something, you know, shocking and inappropriate was going to come onto the screen in like a public area. But yeah, you know what, it's a game, I guess. Still in the Wide Productions area here, and this is one of the games that I really wanted to play. This is Arcade Paradise. Essentially, you are a person who is sent off to this laundromat owned by your family to basically, you know, build your life, get a job, stop being a waster kind of thing. But you discover a few hidden arcade machines in the back, and that kind of starts proving to be more successful than the actual laundromat. So it's all about trying to change this laundromat into an actual arcade, which I think is a really cool concept, especially because to me it's a little bit nostalgic. So yeah, I had to sit down with it, and I've got to say I absolutely adored this game. This is one of my favorites from these 3 days, and I'm definitely going to be buying this when it's out. After this, I went back to the Sega area to try out Humankind, and I was kind of confused with the kind of menus, and I just didn't really understand what to do. There wasn't really much in the way of a tutorial. Unless I missed it, I don't know, but it was an experience. I wish I'd spent more time with it, and I think this is kind of a running theme throughout this video. I kind of wish I'd spent more time on each game. It's definitely very advisable to go all 3 days because there's just so much here to do that you just need those 3 days, and I'm really glad I went to all of them. Now, this next game is Trek to Yomi, and it is one of my favorites yet again. It's a game set in the Edo period in Japan, and it's basically a samurai throwing down. It just looks really awesome. It's got a really cool aesthetic to it. The gameplay is very addictive. Yeah, I just spent so much time playing this game and got stuck on the same section. It's like the second screen into the game, and basically you're trying to cross a bridge, and there were so many people just stuck on that bridge. It was unbelievable. But yeah, very much looking forward to this game, and I was really happy to play it. And then finally, I decided to go and have a look at Death's Door. This is a game that stars a cute little crow, basically playing the role as the Grim Reaper. You have to reap souls, and you know, the story's a bit more involved with that. But I got to the first boss, which is very much just kind of an introduction area. It's really cool. The gameplay is nice and smooth, and yeah, this is just a really nice game, and I really like that cute little crow. Then sadly my time at the expo was over because I had to leave early, but I did spend a bit of time beforehand just walking around, trying to get some really interesting shots and just try and give a better overall scope of how this thing was. And I'll just play a little bit of footage now just for you to have a look at. After, I will go into my final thoughts on this expo and also the merch that I picked up. Now that was a whirlwind trip, right? Let's talk about the merch that I got whilst I was there. First up, I got a little baggie of business cards and like pins and sweets and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're going to be going up on something or other. I also got a signed copy of Flea for the Dreamcast, as the guy promised. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to cherish this forever. I also got 2 lots of stickers, one from Power Wash Simulator and also 2 Point Campus. Obviously, I also got a show guide, which is really cool, and you know what? It's a really decently designed piece of material. So yeah, I'll be keeping that. Now on to the really, really cool merch. First, I got a bunch of steelbooks. There's no games in it, but it's just kind of promotional artwork for WK 2020. I did actually tell the guy I liked Rey Mysterio, so he gave me 3, which is just crazy. And then also a really nice Tiny Tina Wonderlands one. They will be going up on my display behind me at some point. I also got a bunch of hats. I got one from Llama Simulator, which is, yeah, a game. I also got one from Core Keeper, which is pretty cool. And also I got one from Humankind, which I really like this. I don't have a white beanie, so yeah, I don't know how long it'll last, but I'll be wearing this at some point. Following on with clothing, I also got this t-shirt right here, which is again from Lawnmower Simulator. Gotta love it. I also got this really, really sweet Tiny Tina one. It's 2-sided, so front and back. I'll definitely be wearing this. I think this is really, really cool. I like the colouring, I like the whole design of it. Absolutely fantastic. I also got a poster, which is double-sided, and it is of Core Keeper, I believe. Yeah, Core Keeper, and also Imp of the Sun. I preferred this side, so I think that's what I'll be displaying. I also got some Tiny Tina PJ bottoms. Yeah, they're a size medium, so I don't know if I'll fit in, but yeah, I'll have a look and see if they're any good. Oh wow, they're nice and stretchy, which is positive. But no, they feel really nice. They feel fairly robust, I'll say. So yeah, I'm going to be wearing these. And last but not least, the thing that started it all, my press pass, which is absolutely fantastic. I will be keeping this and sticking it up back there next to the other one that I got. I genuinely can't believe it though. It has been an actual dream come true. Ever since I started my channel, I have dreamed and dreamed of covering a games expo, and this was an absolutely fantastic opportunity. I really hope I get invited to the next one, because I have no problem in saying that this event is a must attend. And I'm not just saying that because like I got a press pass and it's my first one and I was really excited. Everyone seemed to be really nice. It was very, very nerve-wracking to go, because obviously it was my first one. I didn't know anyone there, didn't know anyone in the industry, and it was just, as many people said, a really good introduction into this whole ecosystem. Plus there was a ton of indie games there, which I absolutely adore. I really think it's worth going to the next one, whether you're industry or not, because there's just a whole bunch of stuff for gamers in general. But in any case, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the WASD staff for putting on a fantastic show. If you enjoyed this video, then by all means like, comment, subscribe, do all that social media goodness, and as always, keep living that best nerd life.